We have an empirical study. Is that correct, Eric?
The top five?
The top five reasons why a person should not buy an annuity.
Yeah, that's right.
And where did this empirical study come from, Eric?
Well, we did a survey here in the office.
You?
And I. Yeah,
and me.
Yeah, that's
me.
right. The two of us.
So we have a slight margin of error in
That's
this.
right. Yeah, it's plus or minus 5.
5, yeah. We don't know what 5.
Of the 5 reasons that you shouldn't buy an annuity.
No, but we do really run into some very legitimate reasons.
Sure.
Why folks should not buy an annuity, and people should know about that.
That's right.
Reason number 1: too young,
too old,
or too old.
So
right.
Age.
That's right. Let's take the extreme ends. Let's say too old. How old's too old?
Too old. Well, and it's when you start to lose benefits. So to age 81,
they're gone.
They basically very few choices left. So
right.
Typically,
few companies that'll give you a little bit, but usually the yields are low and there's no additional riders or benefits, this type of thing. One real exception to that now on the 80-year-old is if we find that they have a younger spouse.
Okay, and then that makes it a good deal because the spouse is...
Well, the spouse can get a lot of benefit by putting the annuity in their name.
Right.
And
so really, they're still really within the guidelines of getting some of those benefits.
Right. So that does work well. And let's go to the other extreme. Let's talk about the younger. When's it too young?
Well, definitely before age 20. I would say 20, 25.
25.
But anything younger than that.
16-year-olds, no way.
Yeah. So that's obvious. But most of the time, you're in your stock accumulation stages.
Right. Probably somewhere around, maybe, you might make a case occasionally for someone in their early 30s, but probably somewhere in your mid-30s to early 40s before it starts to make real sense, depending on your risk aversion, I would say.
Most of these income benefits are usually set for a 10 or the maximum I've seen is a 20-year period. So really it's the 20 years prior to retirement.
Right.
So if you think of 65 being the logical retirement age, really your mid-40s.
Yes.
When you get to 50, you definitely should be.
Yeah, you should be moving in that direction or have a plan.
So really, before that, it's another bucket, but you're probably not fitting. All right. So that's reason number 1. Reason number 2.
You don't have enough assets. You
don't have a nickel to rub. So
I mean, really, folks, and Eric and I were discussing this prior to going on camera here. If you've got less than $100,000 in overall assets, and we're not talking about your home or your furniture or your car, we're just saying if you don't have $100,000, or if you've got less than $100,000, realistically, you just don't know what's going to come up. You don't know what kind of an emergency situation you might have, and it's probably wise not to put that money into an annuity.
We call it the liquidity issue.
Right.
I mean, you don't have enough liquid assets to be able to do and take care of the things that may come up. So, and you definitely don't want to put all of your eggs in one basket. So
correct.
When you've got limited assets,
it's really iffy, and there's always an exception. There's always going to be some exception that's going to come along where someone has lots of income, and they maybe just aren't worried about needing liquidity. On the other hand, I've seen a few situations where someone had so little income that they needed an annuity to produce enough income just so they could live on and know that they weren't going to ever run out of money. So there is this balance that you have to look at each person's situation and evaluate it. To be fair,
but largely, basically, you have to have typically $100,000 is kind of
or more. And then I guess the other caveat to that I would say is a lot of people maybe only want a $75,000 annuity or $125,000, but they've got several $100,000 in other assets.
It's an allocation.
It's an allocation,
so we're not saying you have to use $100,000. We're saying if you don't have at least $100,000 available, then that's probably not a wise choice.
Moving on.
Okay, number 3. Expectations of unrealistic high returns.
High returns,
Annuities are a safe, stable
vehicle.
allocation.
That's right.
So if you don't get you don't have high risk, you don't have high reward. You have
Right.
more of a level,
Right.
safe, stable.
Your reward is sleeping securely at night, sleep insurance,
That's right.
and knowing that you're not going to be affected by the ups and downs of the market, or a Japanese style situation
Right.
where the market loses 75% of its value and it doesn't return over a 20-year period.
Right. So as long as you expect what, if you're using it for income primarily, it's a great vehicle. So
it
you
takes
don't
care of
have-
longevity risk.
that's-
Doesn't matter
Yeah.
how long you live.
Exactly.
Right. Right. So it's great for the pension style income.
Yeah, perfect. So
And growth can be reasonable.
we always talk about beating the bank by a couple of
Couple
percentage
percentage points, and then if we go into pre-issued annuities, it can be maybe higher than that. So
Right.
maybe we're beating the bank by 3 or 4%.
Yeah. So it's expectations. If you have if you want your cake and eat it too, this is not the vehicle for
Right,
you. Because
right.
I've had people ask me, I want the cake and eat it too annuity. Well,
Right.
you have to pick and choose,
Right.
and it
Right.
doesn't exist in the double-digit.
Well, and
gains.
this is where I find that people have a lot of unhappiness with the annuity they purchased, when an advisor has told them that they've got this unlimited
Right.
upside potential and no downside risk, and they're expecting to have something pretty close to a stock market gain
Yeah.
when the market's going well, and they don't have it, and they're disappointed because they were oversold,
Right. Yeah.
overstated.
No. So
Underdelivered.
So don't buy an annuity if you have unrealistic high return expectations.
Right.
All right. So number 4, the probability of needing annuity dollars prior to maturity.
Well, and when we say probability, there's always a possibility
Right.
for anyone that they could need the money. But if we talk of it in terms of probability, we have to use some reasonable assumptions. And if you've got plenty of income, you've got other assets, then the probability when you put your money in an annuity should be very, very low that you're really going to need this money for anything.
Right. I mean, if you go into it with the expectation of saying, I'm going to go buy a new house in 3 years, I might
use that money. Yeah. Don't do it.
don't put the money
No.
there to begin with.
Makes no
because
sense.
It's not a good decision.
Right.
So,
Right.
so that one's pretty much stands on it all.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. And number 5, this is probably my favorite.
This is my favorite. This is it's truly the number 1 reason not to buy an annuity, and that's that you don't have a reasonable understanding of how annuities work.
Right. And before you can make an intelligent decision on an annuity, and there is a certain degree of complexity
Yeah.
and sophistication to an annuity, you need to really work with an advisor that gets it, that has access to multiple annuities, that has a great understanding of these annuities, how they work, how they interrelate and function, and someone that can help you to understand, not that you're going to have the same knowledge level that the advisor has.
And I don't think they have to understand how every annuity works. You have to understand how what you own works. The ins, the outs.
And that it's going to meet your objectives,
Right.
your stated objectives.
I talk to clients about working backwards. You work backwards from the goal and then find the annuity or the pieces that
Right.
fit that goal.
Right,
So,
right.
but you have to understand how it works and how that piece works as part of your goal.
Yes.
If you don't, and if you're not comfortable, don't do it.
Yeah, you shouldn't do it. You've got to be comfortable. And there is a point sometimes where you do rely on the advisor's expertise because you do have certain stated objectives.
Right.
And so there is this balance that you have to hit. But you do want at least a cursory understanding of what it is you're doing, why you're doing it, how it works.
Right. Don't spend more time planning your vacation than you do spend on your planning your retirement.
That's right, that's right. Or understanding your annuity.
That's right.
So folks, these are the 5 top reasons that we're aware of.
And based off our empirical survey.
Of our, yes. And so, we think that this will give you a good basis as you're considering putting money into an annuity, doing an annuity allocation. If these don't really apply to you, then an annuity may be a good choice.
Good deal. I think we've hit the top 5.
Next week, maybe we'll talk about the 5 least reasons not to buy an annuity.
We're having too much fun. We better go.
Thank you.